Hello and welcome back to another popcorn chat. I hope you guys are doing well. As you can tell, I'm not in my usual spot. I'm here in my home family bedroom. So I thought I'd give you guys my thoughts on My Policeman, which dropped on Amazon Prime this weekend. And I thought I'd give you my thoughts because, yeah, a lot of people are talking about this one. So this film includes a star-studded cast. We have the likes of Harry Styles, David Dawson, Emma Corrin, Rupert Everett. There's lots of great actors in this film. So generally it's, enticing a lot of people in, obviously because Harry Styles is in it. But generally, there's some really, really great actors as well. So the film was based on a book of the same title, and we follow the character of Marion, who sort of shows an interest in a character called Tom, and they start having a relationship. And he expresses that he wants to learn about the arts, and he takes himself to museums. Like let's learn about art together and become a bit more cultured. And along that, they sort of meet a art exhibitor called Patrick, and they sort of strike up this friendship between the three of them. And then we sort of flash back and realise that maybe Tom knew Patrick prior to meeting Marion, and that sort of relationship potentially could ruin the dynamic between Tom and Marion. And that's sort of intercut between the characters when they're much older as well, played by a different set of actors. So it's jumping back and forth between these characters in the 1950s and then more of a modern day setting. So let's talk about some positives of this film. I was quite surprised at how sort of sad and emotional this story was. It wasn't really what I was thinking it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more of a sort of a throuple situation, but it wasn't. So it was quite sad to sort of see this sort of dynamic and sort of really shed a light upon, a lot of circumstances that a lot of men in particular in the UK had to go through in sort of the 50s and before that, in terms of not being able to express themselves and having to sort of hide who they are. So it was quite a sad and moving sort of film because of the film's plot itself. I don't think Harry Styles was that bad during this. I think he did an okay job. There were some odd scenes where the acting was a little bit, basic, shall we say. But generally, I think he did an okay job. Was it better than his performance in Don't Worry Darling? Probably by a little bit, I would say. So he did a lot of a better job in this one than that film. I'm not sure why, but I think maybe it's because it's, a British film. Maybe it was a bit easier for him to do it and felt a bit more grounded than Don't Worry Darling. I think the costumes and the set designs really brought you into this sort of 1950s Brighton in particular, and helped to sort of, transport you back into those times. So I think that was really good. The sort of the designs and the locations they chose to film this were a really good choice. So let's talk about some negatives. I know I said previously Harry Styles wasn't too bad. I do think one of the negatives was the fact his accent was a little over the place. He sort of stems from the north of England, but he's trying to put on a bit more of a southern accent in this one, and who's trying too hard, and you can hear that in a lot of the sort of pronunciation of certain words, and yeah, kind of pulled you out those more emotive scenes. The production value felt a little low. It felt a bit more like an indie film, despite having such a great cast, and being able to film a lot in Brighton, sort of in situation. But I think a lot of it felt, quite low budget, considering that it's going to get viewed by a lot of people, and has gone on Prime. I think, maybe the scale of it just felt quite small. I think a lot of the issues of the film for me come from the script. I think there's some really sort of cringy dialogue that sort of ruins what could be a very sort of poignant scene, sort of makes you laugh involuntary. The actors can only do so much, but I think the words on the page don't help the situation and why people are talking about this and generally in such a negative light. I think, I'm not sure if it's the same in the book, but however the sort of screenplay has been written, it's not great at times, no way. I do think they wasted not having Emma Corrin playing Marion in this. Like, she was hardly in it comparison to Tom, played by Harry Styles, and Patrick played by David Dawson. I think they're in it a lot more, and I know the story does focus on them more, but I think, you know, I would like to have seen Emma Corrin, especially. You know, I know her personally from The Crown on Netflix. I think that's where a lot of people were introduced to her. And we know she can act. We know she can do a good job, but I think her character, especially as the younger version, isn't utilised enough. We get enough older Marion, but a younger Marion, she's not featured in it that much. But I would like to have seen a bit more of her on screen. I do think the film as well has a few pacing issues. I mean, I thought it was fine to begin with, but once the sort of reveal happens that this is a relationship between Patrick and Tom, it then starts to sort of kick up a gear, and you realise how slow that first half really was. So yeah, I think the pacing is off in this film, especially in the first half of the film. So maybe that could be a little bit neater, because at some points it did drag on a little bit. I don't think this film was as bad as people were making out. I think it was an okay story. You know, there's a few bad bits of dialogue, you know, performed by various actors, not just Harry Styles. I think it was an okay film. I think many people will like this. You know, a lot of audiences can find this sort of attainable and will watch it. But yeah, I just thought it was fine. Nothing to rave about. Nothing new in terms of plot points. So yeah, I thought it was fine. So for that reason, I'm giving it 2.5 stars out of 5. Thank you very much for watching my review of My Policeman. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure you check it out on Amazon Prime, and let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you have seen it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you indifferent? Let me know down below, and I would love to read your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon for another popcorn chat.